line. Learn more at cfbhn.org. He's joining us right now. The general manager of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jason Licht, is back with me here on The Drive on WDAE. Jason, welcome back to the show. How the heck are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. I know you had a very busy weekend, but a successful weekend. And I heard you talk about this over the weekend. It usually takes a couple of years to evaluate a draft, which is true, about 2 to 3 years. But when you talk about trying to evaluate value and need and scheme fit, it certainly feels like from top to bottom you guys did just that. Would you agree?
I would say that we're very happy with where everything fell throughout the entire draft and as it relates to the things we wanted to accomplish in terms of our needs, yes.
And let's talk about your draft room. Night one, round one, you're sitting there and you've had meetings with your scouting department over the course of many weeks. First off, how many meetings do you have where you sit down and say, okay, if this, and this happens, we're ready to do this? I mean, you guys spent a lot of hours, right, going through different scenarios?
Many hours. And you said weeks. It's more months of preparation for the draft. And, we have the formal meetings where we talk about it, but then there's more informal meetings as we, pop into each other's offices, not just Todd and myself, but with scouts and Rob and Mike Beal and, Mike Greenberg and, everybody, Tony Hardy, you name them, all the scouts. If you ever thought about this scenario, you ever thought about that one? And there's a lot of them. So there were some, I believe Rob McCartney at one point, 2 weeks before the draft said, so I just want to know, like, if Ruben Bain is sitting there, you still are going to take him? And I said, yes. But that wasn't the focal point because, to be honest with you, we didn't think that there was a high percent chance of that happening. But we were prepared for it.
I'm sure you were. How high was Ruben Bain on your draft board? I know you wouldn't let me look at it, and that's okay. I understand why. But how high was he? Top 5?
He was inside the top 5.
Wow. Okay. Now, as long as I've known you, and Jason Licht, Buccaneer general manager, joining me here, you place a heavy emphasis on character. So when the news came out about the unfortunate car accident that he was involved in a couple of years ago when he was only 19 years old, you guys looked thoroughly into that. So talk about the process of looking into that and making sure that he was the kind of player. We know what kind of player he was. There's no denying that. His tape is exceptional. But the person, how did you evaluate Ruben Bain, the person, in the weeks ago, and the fact that you were okay with how he was as a person?
First of all, it wasn't just unfortunate. It was a tragic thing that happened. And, we obviously, a lot of people feel so terribly for the family that happened. No one would ever want that to happen to their loved one. And then Ruben went through a difficult time with it too, and because no one would want to be in his shoes either. And like you said, it was 2 years ago, and we've known about this since basically since it happened, and it's something we don't take lightly, but it's just a very, very tragic thing that happened, and it was a car wreck. It could, you could happen to anybody, driving home from work or wherever it is any day, and the result is awful. But we got to know his family, we got to know him. We did a deep dive on his whole character and meeting his entire family here. It's wonderful, and they are a very supportive family that supports Ruben. And Ruben is a top-notch kid that is all about football, and that's the type of kids that we're looking to bring in here, type of players that we're trying to bring in here, because one of the common denominators in all the players that end up being great players, now he still hasn't played a snap for us yet, so I'm not ready to anoint him with any kind of award yet, but they all love football. Football is their life, and he certainly checked all those boxes.
And he checks the film box because I'm sure when you watch the film, I mean, everybody saw him, especially in the college football playoff. I mean, he's a violent player. He's a dominant player. He makes others around him better. I think Akeem Mesidor was certainly the beneficiary on the other side. So his tape is second to none. Any concern about his shorter arms? Is that something that really didn't come up a whole lot when you watched the film of him, that it wasn't as big of a concern as some other teams might have made it out to be?
We trust me when I say we watched every snap of his career, and the short arms never were a concern for us. There's always outliers. There's always the player that can overcompensate for maybe what some feel is a shortfall, shortcoming. And whenever I see him play, I think he gets to the offensive player before they get to him because of all the other things that embodies him as a player.
Bucs GM Jason Licht joining me here on the drive. So take me inside that draft room. You're sitting there, you're anxious, you're excited. These picks are coming off the board. At what point did you realize that, wait a second, this guy might actually fall to us?
Well, when he got to a certain point there was a series of events that kind of was the perfect storm for us. I think it began before the draft when there were some trades and that didn't work out, or some signings by some other teams that we felt. I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm not sure if these players would have drafted Ruben or not, but it definitely took them out of the equation. But then as there was a run of OTs and the second quarterback, went, everything kind of just worked out for us, for our benefit. Now, I would be lying if I didn't say that I was tempted to still try to move up. I did not want to give up a premium pick. If I didn't have to, I certainly thought he would be worthy of it. But I just had the sense that in front of us that they were going to go O-line, and I had a sense of what possibly the Rams were going to do, a couple of different options that they would go, and I didn't see them taking Ruben. So we just sat tight, and it's probably the most grueling 20 minutes or whatever it was of my life. But it's kind of got the same feeling when we drafted Vita back in 2018. So it was sometimes it doesn't work out for you. This time it did. We were able to keep our picks, and everybody looks good in these cases, but when it doesn't work out, then you have a little egg on your face. But of course, I still would have walked down to the press room and said that we got our guy.
Yeah, I bet you would have done just that. But when Caleb Downs went to the Cowboys, because a lot of people thought maybe he'd end up there, and then Miami, they took the tackle, and then the Rams get on the clock. You just mentioned back in 2020, you moved up one spot. You liked Tristan Wirfs that much that you moved up one spot in order to secure that player, and that turned out to be a heck of a move. Did you pick up the phone and maybe try to call the Rams at 13, or maybe even the Ravens at 14 right in front of you?
We actually did not this time. We had some knowledge back in 2020 that picked up the phone with the Niners and knew that they were discussing a trade with another team. And I was afraid that team was going to select Tristan. And so that's why we did it then. As it turns out, I think it may have actually been Tristan that that the team was talking about. This time I didn't sense that there was any action there for him. Now, I could have been wrong. Maybe we'll find out later that there was, but I didn't sense it this time. So that's why we stayed put.
And he fell right into your lap, and that must have been. We saw the reaction with the social media videos. I mean, I think you talked about it as well. Is that as excited as you've ever been for a first-round draft pick since you've been the GM of the Bucs?
I think just because of the wait and, like I said, it was a grueling, whatever it was, 15 minutes. I think that's what made it even more exciting. But it's not to say I wasn't excited when we took Vito, not excited when we took Tristan, and the list goes on. But I think just because of the drama behind it at the time, that it probably was one of the more exciting moments that we've had here in draft history with the Bucs.
So you didn't pick up the phone to move up. Did anybody ring your phone when you got on the clock at 15? Wanting to move up to your spot.
I had said in all of our scenarios, and even including this one, and we didn't have a lot. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of conversations about if Ruben Bain is there, or would you consider moving back 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots, whatever it is. The scenario that came up, like I said, wasn't many scenarios that we talked about, but I'm running that card up as fast as I can. Now we entered into the portal now instead of running a card up, but if they still did it like they did back pre-2020, I would have told our person to run it up as fast as they can. I didn't care if they pulled a hamstring.
Bucs GM Jason Licht is with me here on The Drive talking about the draft. Josiah Trotter, round 2, a thumper, a downhill guy, an inside linebacker, much like his daddy. So what do you like most about him?
Well, you said a lot of the things there, but he's also very smart, very committed to football. He's all football. That's his entire life, his family's life. He gets a little bit of a misconception, I think, that's been a narrative that he's, needs work in coverage, but the guy is athletic. He's not a slow twitch player that can't play in space. Those are things that he can do as well, but he's a super instinctive player at the line of scrimmage that is also a good blitzer. They didn't have him do it a lot in their scheme, but I think he reminds me of his father, the way he plays at the line of scrimmage, but he's, no offense to Jeremiah, who is the person that you don't want on your bad side. He's a faster version of his father.
Well, that's certainly a great thing to have, and he's probably going to play right away. That was round 2. Round 3, Ted Hurst, a kid who's raw, Georgia State, ran really well, 6'4". You were looking for maybe a bigger receiver with obviously Mike moving on. What did your scouts tell you about him, and what is his NFL comp if he has one?
Well, that's a tough one. He's fast. He's got incredible ball skills. He's very athletic. If he had a lot of opportunities in the portal with NIL to move on to bigger schools, he chose to stay at Georgia State, which I think is a pretty cool feather in his cap to finish it off with his teammates there. I don't like making pro comparisons sometimes because I don't want to put the pressure on him and all of a sudden anoint him a Pro Bowler right away either. But you can kind of connect the dots. You've got a 6'4", super fast, incredible ball skill guy down the field. There's been some great players that have those assets.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I won't mention any names because you just mentioned, the comp, and I'll probably stay away from that. But he's certainly an intriguing guy. And in round 4, Keontae Scott appears to be a perfect fit for Todd Bowles' scheme. He can cross-train, play different positions. He could blitz, 5 sacks last year. I know he's a little bit older of a prospect, but a lot of people thought maybe he would go earlier. What do you like most about Keontae Scott out of Miami?
I love his passion, the way he plays, the instincts, incredible instincts. He's a pressure player from the nickel position. He knows how to blitz. He's got good coverage skills, good zone awareness. He's a hitter. He's tough. He's been described by a lot of the people there at Miami, along with Ruben, as the heartbeat of the team. So the energy that he brings every day is something that I think is going to be infectious, and just love all of that stuff about him. He's a winner, and he's out to prove to the world that he's better than the 4th round pick that he was.
Jason Licht is with me, Buccaneers GM. The thing you like about what you guys did over the weekend is you had some needs, and I think the players that you picked, you got pretty good value, whether it was the pass rusher, the inside linebacker, a big wide receiver, a defensive back. You got a guard later on in the draft from Notre Dame and Billy Schroth. Going into this offseason, after the way the season ended at 8-9, how much pressure did you feel this offseason to really get this right?
Well, T, I feel pressure every offseason, and you want to make sure that you're doing your best with your staff to add to the team and to improve the team. And I don't think this was unlike any other season and off season when it comes to that. But I did want to make sure that we added players that have an edge to them and that love the game. We try to do that every year, but we wanted to match the passion with the ability to play on the field as well, the best we could. And I think right now, I don't think we could have done a better job, and hats off to my staff and to the coaches for all the work that they did there. Now, when you set up your draft board and then I narrow it down to about 150 players that we feel that we need that could make our team, so it's not set up by round, it's just set up in order of the players that have a chance, and you do take a little need into account a little bit in the way you set that up, but all 7 of our picks fell into our top 100. So I think that was something that was a little unique about this year, to know that you can get 7 picks in the top 100 on your draft board. So very, very excited about that. That doesn't guarantee they're all going to make the team. That doesn't guarantee we were spot on with all of them. But when we walked away on Saturday night after that happened, that's something I don't think we've been able to do in every draft.
Well, that's exceptional value. I mean, you're able to draft all 7 of these guys that were inside of your top 100. That's value right there. Jason Licht is with me, GM of the Buccaneers. Let's talk about your quarterback, Baker Mayfield, going into a contract year. Have you talked to him or his agent about a contract extension?
Baker is at the forefront of our mind at all times. All of our plans revolve around Baker, and that's something that we'll get to when we at some point. I have had a lot of discussions with Baker about the team. I know we texted during the draft after some of the picks. I know he was excited about the players that we took. So we have a great relationship. And listen, nobody here wants Baker to be playing for any other team. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Sounds like the extension is probably going to happen sooner rather than later. What did he think about Ted Hurst? What was that text?
I know Baker's always excited when you add a potential weapon to our team. Now, with Ted, I think he comes into a perfect scenario here where we have 4 really, really good receivers that we're very excited about, and he's not going to be expected to day one make big contributions, that he's going to be able to learn from these guys. And we have an exceptional receivers coach along with our whole offensive staff, but we have an exceptional receivers coach that is very patient and is a great teacher, where he can sit back and learn, and like I said, not expected to be a savior right away.
A couple more quick ones for you, Jason. I certainly appreciate your time. Kalijah Kancey, you exercised the 5th-year option on his contract. We know what kind of impact he can make when he's on the field. That's been the problem. He hasn't been on the field. So what is the expectation for him moving forward?
Well, the expectation is that he's going to continue to make impacts when he's on the field. And I know nobody's been working harder than Kalijah this offseason, and he looks fantastic. Looking through the window here, we're not allowed to be out there on the field with him now, but looking through my window, watching him work out right now, I think he's poised for a big year. Another guy with short arms.
Yes, he did. He does have short arms, and that doesn't affect him. That hasn't to this point. That hasn't been his issue. His issue has been staying on the field. If he stays on the field, we know we can make some plays for you. So when you go into the offseason, you think to yourself, okay, this is what we need to do in free agency, then the draft. now that the offseason is pretty much done, I mean, for all intents and purposes, do you feel like you exceeded or met all your expectations in terms of what you wanted to do with this roster? Are you completely satisfied at this point?
Well, in this position, and in the front office, and as coaches for that matter too, you find yourself never fully satisfied. You're always trying to build the team, construct the roster, do what you can to get better every day. And, I will say that I am very, very, very pleased with the way free agency and the draft worked out. And yes, I think we're ready we could go out there and roll the ball out there and play right now and be a better team. But, there's always avenues that, players still get cut that can help you out in one area or another, all the way up until final cuts. And then even during the season, you can always add to your practice squad. You can always elevate from your practice squad. So that's going to be the next step, seeing like who might be released. Now I can probably safely say that we won't be making any huge money additions right now. But there's always somebody that you get a little surprised got let go that can add to your team or upgrade your team.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. By the way, and I did notice when you were sitting next to Ruben Bain and he talked about the teams that had passed them up, of course you had to throw in the fact that the Saints also passed them up as well.
I didn't want that to go overlooked. When you bring these guys in, you have to get them indoctrinated into the team. I think one of the first things they should do is watch that Raise the Flags documentary, because I learned a lot from watching it. But you have to let them know who you can like and who you can't. So I think that was I hadn't had the chance to have that conversation with them yet, that team in Louisiana is not somebody that we like.
I think he's caught on quickly. I think you brought him up to speed. By the way, you talk about guys who could be available. I'm just saying, I think you got enough depth, but your buddy Cam Jordan's still looking for a job, right?
Yeah, I think we're okay right now. I'm very excited about that room, and we feel like we got a couple bonus picks from last year that had unfortunate injuries that weren't with us, but that have a chance to make some significant contributions with David Walker and J.J. Roberts. So I don't want to. You can't sleep on David Walker.
David Walker, man, I can't wait to see this guy. I mean, you've been talking him up. Everyone is anxious to see him in year number 2. How's he doing coming off the injury?
He's doing great. He'll be ready to roll.
All right, I can't wait. All right, Jason Licht, I think you've spent enough time with me. I'm sure you want to go home and, have a pop or two. Smoke any good cigars lately?
I haven't lately. But that's on the to-do list here in the off season when we take a few weeks off in mid-June until we come back to training camp. I can promise you. I'll text you. I'll send you a few pictures.
All right, I bet you will. All right, the general manager of the Buccaneers, Jason Licht. Jason, congratulations on your draft and your off season. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for a few minutes.
You got it.
All right, that's Jason Licht. Great stuff there. All right. I don't think Cam Jordan's phone's going to be ringing anytime soon with Jason Licht on the other end of it. And, of course, he had to say to Ruben Bain, oh, the Saints passed you up too.
You're just trying to stir shit up.
I didn't say it. Baker, your GM said it. And, oh, by the way, Baker, based on what your GM just said, it sounds like they're about to get down to business with Baker Mayfield on a contract extension. Make no bones about it, Jason Licht just pretty much said, we're going to get that thing done. We're not going to take any chances. All right, we're way late for a break.
He'll be ready to roll.
I bet he will. Thank you, Jason, for that. When we come back, the Bucs will win blank games in 2026. Baker Mayfield will get blank per year on his next contract. Fill in the blank coming up next. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Folks, right down the road from us, the Golden Diamond Source. It's April. And the April birthstone is diamonds, and they're celebrating Diamond Days right now at the Golden Diamond Source with up to 20% off diamond jewelry throughout the month of April. The Golden Diamond Source can also help you trade in your old broken jewelry and use it towards a new purchase. So with gold prices at record highs, now is the best time. They only sell natural diamonds, by the way. If it's real love, it should be real natural diamonds. And with the Golden Diamond Source's first-time buyer program, learn all there is to know about buying that next diamond. Their staff will show you a huge selection of inventory to choose from and within your budget. 0% financing available for up to 5 years. So if you finance $5,000, it's only $83 a month. Make sure, guys, it's a Golden Diamond Source diamond at 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater. Always online at goldendiamond.com. Tell them TKras sent you.